Hello everyone, I'm Todd Ponton of Denver, Colorado, and I am going to explain to you what we need to do to get gun control. You may want to take notes and pause if you feel that you need to jot something down. Now just to let you know why I am doing this, I live in Denver metro area in Colorado. Colorado has seen three deadly school shootings, most memorably Columbine, that occurred April 20th, 1999, as well as the Platte Canyon High School, September 27th, 2016, and the Arapahoe High School shooting, December 13th, 2013. A deadly church shooting at New Life Church in Colorado Springs, December 9th, 2007, that killed 2. A Walmart shooting, and the Aurora Theater shooting, which ironically is a theater I have patronized before and after the shooting. I can say living here in Denver has given me a perspective on gun violence. The Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, has brought us closer to gun control with the March for Our Lives rally, and I already feel the edge is sliding. It has been just slightly over a year, despite that there have been other school shootings resulting in death since. I'm going to share with you steps on what we need to do. 1. Keep gun control in the news. It's no accident that conveniently distracting border wall national emergency reared its ugly head. Do anything loud but within the law. Keep the fires burning. Politicians and the NRA love it when controversial issues seem to get the gun control issue forgotten. We need to do a March for Our Lives rally yearly. Yes, 2018 was an election year, but no offense, society has a short memory. And by the same time next year, March for Our Lives will be forgotten. The public, the NRA, and politicians need to know they are still being watched. The president isn't going to do a damn thing. Make peace with it. However, if you mean what you say about voting out politicians who side with the NRA, do it. If you're too young to register to vote, talk to your friends and relatives who vote. Keep the names of those who have come out and said they aren't going to do anything. Research on the internet which politicians have benefited from the NRA. And of course, White House Speaker Paul Ryan said he isn't supporting the proposal to impose new restrictions on gun purchases, telling reporters we shouldn't be banning guns for law-abiding citizens. Yeah, if gays fail conversion therapy that he supports, it's open season for those stuck in queer gear. What do you expect from a dick whose first 3 letters in his last name is the same as penis? Not to mention, he's against the Constitution. What I mean, Mr. Pence, is you are against life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, as you may or may not know, the NRA stays within its own Republican Party. That much is certain. But don't kid yourselves. There are some Democrats that happily have firearms. Representative Henry Queller from Laredo, Texas comes to mind. The issue is not about which party is in the wrong. And now I will not say what party I support because viewers are just going to latch on that for their own agenda and detract from the point I'm actually trying to make here. That's my right. Once you know who these politicians are, vote them out. Do your research on the local level and don't vote for them. The opposite is true. If you see a politician who supports your view on school safety and gun control, support them and vote for them. Senator Mark Rubio stated at the town hall a few weeks after the Parkland shooting that assault weapons banning was more difficult than people think. He goes on that with every assault weapon that are banned, there are several remaining that are not classified as assault weapons, that are still legal and do just as much damage. They can be rendered non-assault for some plastic attachment. This is what the NRA and gun supporters want to do. Make things so complicated that any politicians would just give up on it and try to make things an even ground to keep everyone happy. The issue isn't the design of the gun. The issue is the damage it causes. Politicians need to be less gullible about falling into this trap. This is where I'll bet the expression, "the devil is in the details," comes from. Politicians need to quit splitting hairs. If the gun does or can fire multiple rounds, it's got to be illegal. They need to quit trying to make everyone happy and start making kids safe in schools by just getting rid of all of them. If we do, the gang members will be easily targeted for arrest because they're the only ones who will still be owning them. It's a win-win. It's noble for politicians to try to make everyone happy. That's what diplomacy is for. However, there's a big difference between satisfying those who support the NRA and gun control and satisfying those who support the Second Amendment and gun control. The NRA believes the right to fire guns, and the Second Amendment supports the freedom of owning guns. Big difference. And that difference is self-control. Now, they have passed the bill to raise the age of buying a gun to 21 in Florida. What the hell is going to stop a 30-year-old from going into a school and shooting up the place? Dwayne Roger Morrison was 53 years old when he went into Platte Canyon High School and killed 16-year-old Emily Keyes. Seriously, what's the age got to do with it? It's just the bauble politicians are dangling to keep everyone quiet. Number 3, remember the golden rule. Those who have the gold make the rules. You need to take their gold away to rid them of power. Boycotting all companies who support the NRA or lack of gun control. Many companies have severed ties with the NRA, but Federal Express, for example, has not. Switch to UPS. When these politicians retire and pen a memoir, don't buy it. If they go to work for a company after they leave office, find out where they work and boycott that company. The NRA CEO at the time, Wayne LaPierre, has authorized several books. Guns, Crime, and Freedom, 1994. Shooting Straight, Telling the Truth About Guns in America, 2002. Guns, Freedom, and Terrorism, 2003. The Global War on Your Gun, 2006. The Essential Second Amendment Guide, 2007. America Disarmed, Inside the UN and Obama Scheme to Destroy the Second Amendment, 2011. Don't buy his books. Boycott any show or radio he's on. Dana Loesch, the NRA national spokeswoman, is a political activist and commentator, radio and television host, and author, like LaPierre. Boycott any show or radio she's on, and don't buy any of her books. Do your research. Find more like these people and take their livelihood away. Boycott any speaking engagement Loesch and LaPierre have, as well as any television or radio station or internet site. TV and radio stations and internet sites have to feel the pinch and realize the NRA is poison to whatever they touch. The boycott has to cast a huge net. Now Oliver Stone has become the new NRA president. We need to remind him of what he does best. Keep the fifth. Boycott anything he does. He's used to the silence. Now Confucius once said, "Someone bigger there will always be." This leads me to number 4. Accept that absolutely no one has power. Power is an illusion. If you think you have it, it can be taken away from you. Look at Osama bin Laden. Oh, sure, he caused 9/11, but now he's at the bottom of the ocean with a hermit crab living in his gunshot wound. Hitler ran the Third Reich. He ended up shot, doused in gasoline, and burning in a pit while his officer saluted him. A schnauzer probably came by later and pissed on the ashes. Guns do not give you power. Here, I'm going to simplify why people like guns. Yes. C. Men like to compensate for where they are coming up short, if you know what I mean. And women love to handle something that big. And our president, Mr. Trump, is comparing missiles to the most phallic of all weapons in North Korea. Yes, North Korea, we have bigger, we have more, and they work. We cannot keep thinking we're like Zeus, sitting on Mount Olympus with a bolt of lightning at the ready in our hands. The allure of gun power is an illusion. Case in point. You've always thought owning a gun protected you from your home invasion. Statistically, more injuries and death have resulted from those handling their guns in a home invasion. Let's not forget many children who have died finding their parents' loaded gun. Your best case scenario is this. If there is an intruder coming in your front window, go out the back door. Let them take your valuables. Things can be replaced. You can't. Someone who is that brazen to risk breaking into your home possibly has the mindset or desperation that can lead them to injure, possibly kill you. If you're unable to get out of your dwelling for any reason, a frying pan and a kitchen knife, plus the element of surprise, will be far better than a gun. A security alarm is also your best friend. If you can't afford it, tin cans and a string under your window works wonders. Hide kitchen knives throughout your home. Yeah, I'm serious. I refer you to the W.R. Mayers High School shooting that occurred April 28, 1999. The shooter left one dead and one wounded. How was he stopped? Not by another gun, but because gym coach Chano Feeney managed to surprise him and wrestle him to the ground. Other schools have decided to tackle school shooters rather than be fish in a barrel. One school is even giving students stones to plummet the shooters. I once went to the Tanner Gun Show once, researching the Columbine tragedy. Harris and Klebels got a friend to buy their guns there. One vendor showed me a carbine and pumped the ejector, saying, "Any home intruder will recognize that sound." Well, that means nothing if the invader has an AR-15 rifle. Now, there's something nobody ever talks about when there is a home invasion, and you've killed the invader. I remember a show called I Survived. A man invaded the home of a woman. She stabbed him several times. The man who broke in was still alive when the police came and cuffed him. The woman was in another room, and when the police came to get her story, they informed her the man she stabbed had died. She said she had to live for the rest of her life knowing she took a life. Oh, sure, you saved yourself and loved ones from a possible killer, but are you willing to walk by the same blood-soaked spot of a person you killed every day? Even if you clean it up, the spot's still there. Moving won't be the answer either. The memory follows you. Do whatever is possible to discreetly leave the house. Go to the neighbors and call the police. Let them handle the situation. Now, there have been instances of people being robbed when they are asleep, and the invader was careful enough not to have disturbed them. There has also been cases of people waking up in the middle of the night, seeing a stranger at the foot of their bed with a gun aimed at them. Yeah, your gun stopped these things from happening. A dictionary defines a sociopath as a person with a psychiatric personality, or a person with a psychopathic personality whose behavior is antisocial, often criminal, and who lacks a sense of moral responsibility or social conscience. So, If you're watching this and you're saying to yourself, not me, I'm glad I killed the son of a bitch, don't kid yourself. If you've killed someone who has invaded your home, you're grinning ear to ear about it, and have no remorse, you are a sociopath by definition, and you're equal to a school shooter, and should not be in possession of a firearm. Be offended. If I had to compare your credibility with the credibility of a psychologist with a PhD, you'd lose. Now, I'm sure there are some of you out there who are barking, if anyone comes and takes my guns, I'll kill them. Well, you've proved my point. I'm sure your pit bull's impressed with you. You may have the power to take a life owning a gun, but you don't have the power of ridding your guilt of killing someone. People have experienced post-traumatic stress syndrome and have needed to get therapy due to these home invasions. Don't make it worse. Another thing you have to consider is the laws in where you live. In Colorado, for example, there is the Make My Day law. This law permits any occupant of a dwelling to use any degree of physical force, including deadly physical force, against an intruder who, 1, made a knowingly unlawful entry into the dwelling, and 2, the occupant reasonably believed the intruder was committing intended to commit an additional crime against the person or property in the dwelling other than illegal entry, and 3, the occupant reasonably believed the intruder might use physical force against any occupant. In short, if you shoot and kill a guy from the power company coming in to read your meter, you're going to jail. And as for you Bible-thumping conservatives out there, he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. Number 5. That tired old Second Amendment, the right to bear arms argument. I'm not going to state that this was written nearly 300 years ago in order for colonials to protect themselves from British invasion. We're dealing with the here and now, a post-Columbine world. What I am saying is this. On July 4, 1776, the Declaration of Independence was created and stated, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." Life. 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 We all have the right to life. The Second Amendment, Amendment 2, to the United States Constitution, protects the right of people to keep and bear arms and was adopted on December 5th, 1791. The Declaration of Independence stated life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness came 15 years before the Second Amendment. There's something to be said about seniority. Everyone's right to life outlives the right for anyone to own a gun. And students in schools are no different. History has proven time and time and time again to the nth degree that we as a species are irresponsible with firearms. This is not just America's gun culture. Now, I personally do not own a gun, nor do I have anything really against them. I had one and gave it away because I knew then what I know now. What I do hold in contempt is everyone's mindset about guns. One's mindset, as I have mentioned, gives people the false impression they are safer with one. Another is that old saying, guns don't kill people, people kill people. That is nonsense. Oh sure, a gun is an inanimate object, but what I'm talking about here is imagery. Imagery is just as manipulative and deadly as the gun. If you saw an ad for a picture of a delicious sub sandwich, your mouth waters, right? Well, you go out and you buy it and you eat it. Those are endorphins. those natural peptide chemicals produced in your body that interact with receptors in your brain that help you feel good, and they can and will be triggered by imagery. Same thing with a gun. You see an ad for a blue steel baby with that sexy sheen on the barrel, with a cartoon of a guy in a bandit's mask, shuddering in fear. That imagery snags you with the false illusion of buy me, own power, never be afraid. An ad is just like a gun. It's an inanimate object, but it can kill. And once you're hooked and buy it, the scenarios I have listed can happen. There's so many people who say, oh, that'll never happen to me. But those who have had it happen to them have said the exact same thing. Endorphins are powerful, and people who cannot control their own shouldn't own a gun. Another reason people own guns is, I like to go hunting. Dude, it's 2019. The last time anyone ever needed to hunt, we were using powder horns. Why are you subjecting yourself to a crappy weather, being mauled by a bear, or lately a mountain lion, and the risk of accidentally shooting someone? That's what supermarkets are for. If you like deer, buffalo, snake, or any other wild game meat, find places where you can buy it. We got places here in Colorado that sells it. Waste your time and energy hunting on the internet. No one is at risk being shot there. Seriously. Oh, sure, there's those who say, oh, you don't understand the joy of hunting your own food. No, I don't understand why you deny yourself the luxury of our modern age affords you. And I probably never will, because I live in 2019. And do you really need an AR-15 to go hunting? There wouldn't be much edible meat left if you use an assault rifle. And while we're on it, let's grow up and accept a zombie apocalypse is never really going to happen. Get real. And do you really think stockpiling guns to overthrow our government like Ruby Ridge or the Branch Davidian is going to work? We are the most powerful and advanced military in the world. They lost, the military won. Save yourself the trouble and just leave the country if you're that unhappy. Now here is my answer to gun control. We need to create depositories for everyone's guns. You buy your own gun of any kind, you take them to a building, which is called a firearm depository. You can keep your ammo, it's no good without your gun. But you turn the gun itself in this depository. You can go there and pick it up anytime you want. This is how the firearm depositories are set up. A. They are manned by trained professionals. The NRA keeps bragging it teaches responsible gun safety. Let them prove it and be a consultant to these depositories and their clientele. Those who man these can even be police officers. One big plus, these places can create jobs. The NRA is forbidden to run these depositories in any form. This is a conflict of interest, and they'll just let anyone have their gun. It's a personal prejudice. B. Guns are kept in safes, much like the ones you find in a bank. No chance of a break-in and being stolen. The check-in window will have bulletproof glass. The gun owner places the firearm in a drawer, and the officer pulls the drawer in to the firearm out on the other side. These places practically have Fort Knox security. All firearm purchases are recorded in this database. Each gun owner has to have a watermarked form of ID, so there won't be any counterfeits floating around out there, created by those who want to try any means possible to get a gun. This ID is presented as proof to the person in the depository. You are who you are. You say you are. The employers of these depositories will file your firearm by numbers and names matching the IDs. When the gun owner comes and picks up their firearm, they leave a specific time when the gun is to be returned. No more than 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. If the gun is not returned for whatever reason, a fine of $500 is imposed on the owner. If the gun is not returned a week after the fine is imposed, they are confiscated by police and destroyed. Firearm owners sign a waiver to agree to these policies, else the guns are confiscated and destroyed. If you feel you need your firearm longer, you have to return it to the depository for 48 hours so yet another background check is ran. Then you can come back and pick it up. Now you might be saying, you basically want gun owners to get background checked every 2 weeks. My response, your point being, if you have nothing to hide and if you love your guns more than children, then this will be of little inconvenience. On the plus side, it will possibly discourage people to buy guns more. Also, people's mentality can change on a dime. Even the most calm, law-abiding citizen can turn into a lunatic if the right buttons are pushed. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, has an evil side to them. It's naive to think otherwise. Most hide it better than others. Granted, and fortunately, most go through their lives without those buttons pushed. You always hear on the news, he was always so quiet and nice. Getting a background check will guarantee those who check out their firearms are still in their right mind. Now, I'm not saying turn in all your firearms in every 2 weeks. Ranch owners need to keep coyotes from livestock. I am saying more tighter monitoring on guns and mentality is needed, especially in homes where there are children of high school age. Do you really need an AK-15 to kill a coyote? Dear God, you could lose your livestock accidentally with a semi-automatic rifle. Now you may also be saying, this isn't holding up the Second Amendment, the freedom to bear arms. Hey, an old soldier's saying is, freedom isn't free. They paid with their lives to uphold the Constitution. It's time we uphold life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as well, because our children certainly have paid it with their blood. And finally, the Firearm Depository has access to all databases relating to background checks, including police records and school records. Yes, you heard me. School records now have to be integrated in background checks. How young should we go? Kindergarten. I refer you to the case of Buell Elementary School shooting when a 6-year-old Kayla Rowland was shot by another 6-year-old who found a gun in his uncle's home February 29, 2000. If a 6-year-old can spirit a gun into school, a 4-year-old can too. The ID of the juvenile is, of course, confidential. Now, I'm sure you're itching with some counter scenario to this proposal. All I know is if Nicholas Cruz had walked into a firearms depository to get his guns for the Parkland High shooting he's planned, the staff at the depository will see his disciplinary record at school, including all the police records as well as his Facebook page where he posted threats. They would have refused giving him his guns and destroyed them. He would have walked out empty-handed and nothing would have happened. February 14th, 2018. Oh, sure, he would have just gone elsewhere to get a gun, but it's just elsewhere that he'd be likely to be subject to a background check. And I doubt a member of the MS-13 gang is going to supply a little white punk outside their circle with a gun. That is my solution. We need to have tighter accountability and responsibility. If you are a responsible gun owner, you would have no problem getting your firearm out of these depositories when you like, and your Second Amendment rights are not infringed. And everyone can also have the right to live. Your constitutional privileges are intact. Now some, if not a lot of people, are going to disagree with me. I'm holding firm to my beliefs, but this video is not about contacting me to change my mind, but to get others to talk and find solutions. So if you disagree with me, Make your own video. The point is to end this societal ill of school shootings. The NRA worships their Second Amendment and plan to sue me on this video. I could countersue on the ground that they are violating another amendment, the First Amendment, freedom of speech. Few who dish it out can seldom take it. To quote John Oliver, one failed attempt at a shoe bomb, and we now all have to take our shoes off at the airport. 31 school shootings since Columbine, and no change in regulations of guns. Now, when I grew up in high school years were pretty good. My junior high years were a nightmare. This was in the mid to late 70s, when bullies were not afraid to bully in front of teachers and principals. Now were principals afraid to smack them hard across the face when caught and drag them by the collar to the principal's office. I was picked on, called names, and had a lit match thrown at me, etc., etc. I knew my dad had a gun, but it never once crossed my mind to take it to school and kill anyone. Why would I destroy the remaining 60 years of my life for 3 or 4 years, especially on idiots I may never cross paths with again? I leave school. Now, when I leave school, these people will not be in my mind. Their credibility is not there. The true secret to gun control is not controlling guns, but bringing back self-control. Somehow, after Columbine, we lost that. We need to bring it back. Dare I say, we need to teach in school, one day for each grade, that guns do not really give you power, or protect you, or solve your problems. The true power comes from the betterment of mankind, not the destruction of it. What would you rather have? Creating a world where everyone has your back, or people running away from you in fear? Be the example.